Hello all, welcome you to the course on corporate laws and governance. In this video, we are going to look at the evolution of corporate social responsibility in India. This evolution of corporate social responsibility in India is divided into different phases. This was actually done by Dr. Pushpa Sundar in her book Beyond the Business from Merchant Charity to Corporate Citizenship. In that book, she has actually classified this evolution of corporate social responsibility into 4 phases. Let's look at what are all the phases that are there. First phase is driven by charity and philanthropy. And if you look at it, the period of this particular phase is from 1850 to 1914. This particular phase was driven by culture, traditions, family values, industrialization and religion. If we look at the ancient India, many people, rich people were contributing towards the development of the religion by donating for the construction of temple. But if we look at the industrialization in India during this particular phase was pioneered by people like Tatas, Birlas, Singhanias, Sarabhai, Mahindra and so on. And these business houses, they were actually contributing for the development of the society. Whenever there were pandemics, whenever there were epidemics, poverty, they were contributing towards that. Not only that, they were actually working for the development of the society, but all these contributions were done with some agenda, in the sense they had business agendas. In some cases they were contributing in such a manner that their own community gets developed. They had their own political objectives, and all these were the guiding force with respect to their philanthropy during this particular phase. Next phase was driven by social development. This particular phase too is from 1914 to 1960. This particular phase is based on the Gandhi's theory of trusteeship. Here, if we look at it, the business houses, they were actually helping to contribute to the removal of many kind of social problems based on the kind of the principles of Gandhiji. They were contributing for the women empowerment, rural development, the development of the underprivileged, removal of untouchability. So they were actually working for all this, and they were also contributing a lot for the social development and the economic development of the country, with the main agenda that when the India is going to develop in terms of the society as well as in terms of the economy, this is going to help the country in getting rid of the British Raj. So they were actually working for the freedom of the country from the clutches of the British. If we look at the phase 3 was actually about the mixed economy, and if we look at the period is from 1960 to 1980. Here in this particular phase, the government started playing a very crucial role. They actually nationalized many of the firms. Private firms' role were coming down, and public sector undertakings were playing a very important role during this particular phase. In fact, the government was dependent on the public sector undertakings in removing the social obstacles, in improving the economy. But somewhere down the line, the government couldn't achieve what they wanted to achieve. They were actually coming out with different rules and regulations for the private organizations with respect to the labor laws, with respect to the corporate governance, with respect to the environment that the companies are expected to maintain. So they also came out with the license Raj. There were many rules and regulations for the private organizations. even then, and the government was dependent on the public sector for achieving all their social and economic goals. Somewhere down the line, the government couldn't do all this on their own, and they wanted the support of the private companies too. So they wanted the private companies to be very transparent in their operations, and they wanted the private companies to hold many dialogues with all the stakeholders in order to achieve the social goals. Though they were trying their best to achieve their social and economic goals, but the government was lagging behind during this particular phase. The last phase that we are talking about is the interface between the philanthropic and business approaches. It has started from 1980s. It is still there till the present day. This particular phase is continuing. If we look at this particular phase, the Indian economy started moving from protectionism, and they started liberalizing the economy. Many private companies were allowed to enter into different sectors. The globalization has happened. So somewhere down the line, the business people have started interacting with the global consumers, and they had they have the global operations as such. And here the perception totally changed. Here the government started giving guidelines to the companies with respect to how responsible they should be towards the society, and what are all the activities that they are supposed to do by here the government actually came out with many guidelines. If you look at it, in the year 2011, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs came out with the national voluntary guidelines for the corporate with respect to their corporate social responsibility initiatives. Again, in the year 2018, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs came out with the national guidelines on responsible business conduct, and they came out with these guidelines in order to align the guidelines with the sustainable development goals of the United Nations. And these guidelines were given to the corporate so that the corporate would know like how they can go about with their corporate social responsibility initiative. Actually, till the New Companies Act 2013, these corporate social responsibility was not mandatory. But when the the Companies Act 2013 came into existence on August 29th, this corporate social responsibility initiatives of the company became mandatory. And as per the Companies Act 2013, those companies who have a net worth of rupees 500 crores or more, or if their the sales turnover is going to be 1000 crores or more, or if their net profit is going to be 5 crores or more, then they are expected to contribute to the society. It has become mandatory. They need to have a CSR committee, and 2% of the average net profit of the 3 preceding financial year should be spent on the corporate social responsibility initiatives of the company. So they made it compulsory for the firms to follow the corporate social responsibility from 2013 onwards. Now let us see what are all the models of social responsibility that operates in India. First, we are going to talk about the ethical model. When we look at this ethical model is based on the Gandhi's theory of trusteeship. Under Gandhi always felt that the rich people, wealthy people, and the business houses play a very crucial role with respect to alleviating the social problems that a particular country faces. Poverty and other social problems it still exist in the country unless and until these wealthy people as well as the business house take initiative in alleviating these problems will never get reduced, and it is the duty of the business houses and the wealthy people to reduce the poverty and to reduce the inequality that exists in the society. So what Gandhi felt was that every business house should have a trust, and this trust should work towards the upliftment of the minority, the downtrodden, as well as the underprivileged in terms of gender, female. We talk about the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, disabled people. So these people should be given importance, and the trust should be actually the trust should work towards solving the different challenges and the problems the minority section of the society faces. So the ethical model is about the role of the wealthy people as well as the business house in reducing the poverty in the economy, in increasing the livelihood of the downtrodden, and to take initiatives to protect the interest of the underprivileged. Basically, that was the idea of this particular ethical model. Then we have the statist model. The statist model is based on the principle of mixed economy. This was actually, this idea was from the Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister of India, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru. If we look at this particular model, government actually plays a very crucial role here, as well as the public sector undertakings are expected to play a very important role with respect to reducing the social problems. But the statist model it was not as successful as they expected this model to be, wherein they felt that even the other firm, the non-public sector undertaking, should also play a very important role in solving the social problems of a particular country. Then we have the liberal model. This liberal model was given by Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman felt that the sole objective of the company is to take care of the interest of the shareholders. Any activity that the company does, it should be to increase the profit of the company, which in turn would be protecting the interest of the shareholders. So all the activity that the company does should revolve around the shareholders, and the company, whenever the company is going to be philanthropic, whenever they are going to spend money on the philanthropic activities, somewhere down the line they are done at the cost of the shareholders who have invested their money in the company. So the company should always keep in mind whichever activity that they take up, it increases the wealth of the shareholders. So that should be the base of the activities of the company. That is what this liberal model says. It doesn't mean that the company should not be following the rules and regulations. It doesn't mean that company should not be ethical. What Milton Friedman says is that the company should be ethical. They should follow all the rules and regulations which the government expects them to follow while conducting the business. But the core principle or the base of all their decisions should be to increase the wealth of the shareholders, which can be done only through increasing the revenue and the profit of the company. Next model that we are going to look at is the stakeholders model. As per this stakeholders model, here what this model says is that the company should not be thinking only about the shareholders. Whatever decisions they take, they should be taking into consideration the interest of all the stakeholders of the company. We have, when we say the stakeholders, the company has to have a good relationship with its suppliers, employees, customers, the general public, as well as the government. So here the decisions, whatever they are going to take, it should be done in such a manner it enhances the welfare of all the stakeholders, like the supplier, the customer, the distributor, the public, as well as the employers. It is not only the shareholders, the other stakeholders' interests should also be taken into consideration. This particular stakeholder model was actually given by Freeman. Next, let us look at the other models that we have in the corporate social responsibility. We are going to talk about the pyramid model that was given by Carroll. If we look at this Carroll's pyramid corporate social responsibility model, here we can see a pyramid where we have hierarchy of different aspects with respect to the corporate social responsibility. We do have economic objective, the legal aspects, the ethical aspects, as well as the philanthropic aspects under the corporate social responsibility. This particular model actually arranges all these parameters on the order of importance. As per this model, the most important activity of the company is about enhancing the economic benefits of the company. So it is about making profit, it is about increasing the revenue and the market share. So that should be the foremost priority of a particular company. Next comes the legality, where the company is expected to follow all the rules and regulations which they have to follow in the regulatory environment where they actually exist, and they have to be ethical in their activities, wherein they should not involve in any kind of unethical practices like the unfair trade practices, or for that matter the exploitation of the customers. So whatever activity that they are going to do, they have to follow the ethical and the moral principles. Finally comes the philanthropic activities which the company can take up. So as per this model, there are different activities which the company can take up, but the most important is the economic benefits that the firm has to make, followed by legal, ethical and philanthropic. So if you look at it, they are placing these activities in the order of importance. If we look at the intersecting circle model, from the diagram we can see that we don't have any order of importance here. Of course, we do have all the activities as mentioned in the pyramid model. Even in this particular model, we have the ethical activities, legal activities, economic activities, as well as the philanthropic activities. We can see that they don't talk about which one is very important and which is the least important. That kind of perspective is not told in this particular model. Here what they are talking about is that all these activities are interrelated. The economic activities interact with the legal activities. Similarly, economic activities interact with the ethical activities as well as the philanthropic activities. There is a point where all the four meet, right? There are nearly 7 decisions that the company can make as per this particular model, and somewhere down the line they will have to resolve the conflict of interest which they may be facing when these activities are going to interact with one another. So the decision has to be made by the company, like how they are going to resolve the conflicts which may arise when there is going to be the overlap of these activities. So basically this particular model is different from the pyramid model in the sense here they talk about the same set of activities, but they are not talking about the order of importance of these activities. But what they mention here is these activities are interrelated with one another. There is an interrelationship among these activities. There would be conflict of interest which the company would be facing while taking up activities under these heads, and how they are going to resolve it. That becomes the challenge for the company. The next model that we have is the concentric circle CSR model. If you look at this concentric circle CSR model, it is also pretty similar to the pyramid model and the intersecting circles model, where the similar set of activities are actually spoken about. We have the philanthropic, ethical, legal and the economic activities which the company takes up. But here if you look at it, the core of it is economic, followed by legal, ethical, philanthropic. But here they don't say that these activities are mutually exclusive from one another. Like if you look at pyramid model, they talk about the order of importance. Somewhere down the line, they differentiate one activity from the other. They are not the same. But if you look at it in the concentric circles model, these activities are actually integrated with one another, in the sense they are not mutually exclusive. One activity encompasses the another activity. For example, the legal activity encompasses the economic activities. Ethical activities encompass both the legal and the economic activities. Philanthropic activities encompass ethical, legal and the economic activities. So basically all are done together, in the sense, but the economic activity being the core activity of the company. Next, let's look at the triple bottom model. This triple bottom model talks about 3 P's. One is people, another is planet, the third is prosperity. If you look at it, people is to do with the society, the social aspects of it. Planet is to do with the environment, and prosperity is to do with the economic. So basically it talks about the social activities, economic activities and the environmental activities which the company is expected to perform. And here what this particular model says is all these 3 activities are important to a company, all are integrated with one another. With respect to people, they are talking about the stakeholders here. They are talking about the supplier, distributors, the customers, employees and the public. So whatever activities that the company performs, they should take into consideration the interest of all the stakeholders. That is basically very, very important. When we talk about the planet, the activities that the company performs, it should not affect the environment. They have to be environmentally sustainable in their activities. They should reduce their carbon footprints. They should go for ethical sourcing, wherein they have to give importance to the local suppliers, and they should try to increase the green cover in the country. So wherever possible, they will have to bring in the environmental sustainability in their activities, wherein they try reducing the carbon emission and the carbon footprints in the country. So this is the environmental aspects of it. The prosperity is to do with the economic activities, where the company is expected to work on its profit, sales. They should also pay their taxes on time. So all these things are very, very important to the company. So here these are not differentiated. It is not told that people is better than planet, planet is better than prosperity. It is not so. All these 3 should be equally given concentration by the company while they take up their business activities. Next, let's look at the challenges that the companies face with respect to the corporate social responsibility. Whatever challenges that we are going to discuss right now, it is based on the survey that was conducted by the Times of India. They conducted the survey with more than 250 companies, and they asked what are all the challenges these companies faced while implementing the corporate social responsibility, and whatever challenges that the companies have told that had been summarized here. So let's look at the challenges that the companies face while implementing the corporate social responsibility. The first challenge which they feel that they face the most is the lack of community participation. The success of any corporate social responsibility program is dependent on how involved the particular community is. That matters a lot. Like we talk about, whenever an initiative is taken for a particular village, we need to have the participation of the Gram Panchayat, the youth groups, self-help groups. So these community participation is very, very important for the effective implementation of the corporate social responsibility. So if they don't cooperate somewhere down the line, the success of the corporate social responsibility would be a question mark. The next challenge that the companies face is to build the local capabilities, because any kind of corporate social responsibility initiative is taken, it is done through with the help of other company, non-governmental organizations, the local authorities. So with their help only these activities are actually implemented. So before implementing it, somewhere down the line, the skill level of the people who are going to help you in implementing the CSR matters a lot. For instance, if we look at the Manasi project, which the Tata Group took up, had a problem with respect to the capacity building. They with this Manasi project, which is to do with reducing the neonatal mortality rate as well as infant mortality rate. They were actually implementing it through the voluntary health workers. So these voluntary health workers, they were lacking knowledge on why the causes of the infant mortality rate or the neonatal mortality, and they had to be educated first, like why these mortality rate is very high with respect to neonatal and the infant, and they had to be taught through the visual aids and through pictures. So then they could do a very good job with respect to reducing the infant mortality rate and the neonatal mortality rate in that particular region where this Manasi project was taken up. So why this is getting mentioned here is the success of the corporate social responsibility is dependent on the capacity of the people who are going to help the company in implementing it. So when these people lack the skills in doing it, then it becomes a problem. So somewhere down the line, the skill level of these the local community people or the health workers, or for that matter the non-governmental organization, it definitely matters. So that is also one of the challenges which the company faces. The next problem is to do with the visibility. Visibility is, people don't know like how important this corporate social responsibility is. They don't know like what kind of benefits it will bring into the community. Since they lack the awareness of the benefits that they would be getting from all these corporate social responsibility activities, what happens somewhere down the line, they don't give importance to these activities. They have hesitation in participating in the CSR initiative. So the effectiveness of the CSR initiative goes down because of the lack of visibility or lack of awareness that people have with respect to the kind of benefits that the corporate social responsibility would bring into the community and to the society. The next challenge is to do with the transparency. We all know like the company takes up the CSR activities through the non-governmental organization, through the local government, through the state government organization. So they are dependent on the other parties, maybe with the help collaborating with another company. So what happens when they are going to do it through these entities, somewhere down the line, these entities do not divulge the details about how effectively this particular program is going on. They don't give information with respect to the utilization of the funds. They don't properly give the impact report on the CSR activity. So when they are not sharing the information, the company finds it tough, like what kind of remedial action that they can take up if there are going to be issues because of lack of transparency from all these people who are actually collaborating with the company in implementing the CSR activities. So transparency issue is another problem that the companies face. The next what we have is to do with the lack of consensus on implementing the CSR issues. When the local government or local bodies, or for that matter the non-governmental organizations, when they do not agree on the way that particular CSR initiative has to be taken forward, then it creates issues. It results in duplication of work. It results in less effective implementation of the initiative. So consensus among the different stakeholders who are part of this CSR activity is a must for its successful implementation. The next challenge what we have is to do with the narrow perception towards the CSR initiative. The CSR initiative is definitely not a one-time donation. It is not a charity that you do it for a one time. It is not definitely short term. If the company is going to have a perspective of like it is going to be short term, then it is not going to help the society in improving itself. The idea of CSR is definitely long term in nature. So the companies as well as the people who are part of the CSR initiative should understand that the CSR activity is not a one time activity, but it is a long term activity which is actually trying to leave an impact on the particular community or a particular area, so that people become sustainable, they become independent, they become empowered. So that is the idea of corporate social responsibility. So the perception should definitely change. It is definitely not short term. It is a long-term activity wherein the companies are going to make a big positive change on a particular community or on a particular area, and it is going to be a very sustainable one. Now let us see what are all the ways that corporate social responsibility initiatives can be strengthened. The first is about creating awareness about the CSR activities among the public. So we know that the community involvement is very, very important, and which is also one of the challenges that the company faces. So somewhere down the line, the NGOs, the local bodies, the government bodies, as well as the company for that matter, they will have to conduct seminars, they will have to interact with the public about the CSR activities, they have to tell about the benefits. So this awareness campaign is very, very important, and different types of activities should be taken up by the companies, the non-governmental organization, by the local governments, in order to bring in awareness among the public on how important the CSR activity is and how important their participation is for the successful implementation of it, and what kind of positive changes that these CSR activities would bring into a particular community. All these have to be told to them, then only the community involvement will go up, not otherwise. The next step that can be done to strengthen the CSR is to involve their stakeholders. The company should involve their stakeholders, in the sense one of the stakeholder of the company is the employees. So employees should be part of the CSR initiative. They should be, it is an opportunity for the employees in fact to be part of one of the social initiatives, so they can volunteer themselves in the CSR activities of the company. So wherever possible, the company should involve its stakeholder in the CSR initiatives, which will actually bring in better results. The next is about the cooperation that would be extended by the local communities. It definitely matters. For instance, when the Tata Group was coming out with the reform in the primary education, and they were actually they were doing it with the help of different stakeholders in the particular community. Like they were dependent on the head teachers, the teachers, they were dependent on the school the school committee, they were dependent on the local panchayats. So basically they were the parents teachers association, the students. So these are all the people who should cooperate with the company when they take up the CSR initiative. So if at all a particular CSR initiative has to be successful, these local communities, in our case we talk about the Parents Teachers Association or the school committee or the teachers, head teachers, the students, so they all should cooperate while these initiatives are taken up. Then only it would be a success, not otherwise. The next is about avoiding duplication of efforts. What happens is many companies would be taking up a similar kind of CSR initiative in a particular area. When they are going to do that, in the sense there are 2 to 3 companies which try to bring in reform in education in a particular area. So here our 2 to 3 companies, they work towards improving the health conditions in a particular area or in a particular community. When they are going to do this kind of watertight compartment activities, it may result in duplication of efforts in the same area. So what they can do is they can collaborate and do the activity which will bring more synergy, rather than doing the same kind of activity for a particular area by different entities. What they can do is they can collaborate and do it, which will bring in better results. And when they are going to do this way, the duplication of efforts can definitely be avoided. The next is about the involvement of the small enterprises. If you look at it, the role that are played by the big business house with respect to the corporate social responsibility is very high in comparison to the involvement of the small enterprises. If at all we want to achieve scale with respect to the corporate social responsibility initiatives, that can be done only when there is participation from all types of firms, small firms, medium firms, as well as the large firms. So it is not about large firms alone playing a very vital role with respect to the corporate social responsibility. We expect that all types of enterprises should equally contribute for the corporate social responsibility. Then only the progress would be faster. Next, what we have is about the taking care of the rural areas. Somewhere down the line, the companies may be concentrating more on the urban areas and the semi-urban areas, but the real concentration should be on the rural areas. The companies should take up more initiatives in the rural areas. They should concentrate on the farmers, the tribal people. They have to concentrate on the rural masses who require more attention. So there should be a balanced growth of the urban area as well as the rural area. So the companies should ensure that they also equally take care of the rural areas as that of the urban area. The next way to strengthen the corporate social responsibility is to reward the corporate houses. Somewhere down the line, what the government can do is the government can come out with awards for the best performing company under the CSR. When they are going to come out with these kinds of awards, it will motivate the companies to perform better and better. It would be helping the company to perform even more better than what they were doing earlier. So this reward, coming out with rewards would be a motivating factor for the corporate houses. The next way that the CSR can be strengthened by what the government can do is they can keep this corporate social responsibility as a subject in the school and or the college, or they can come out with a discipline in CSR in college. Why this is important? Because when students are going to learn about the corporate social responsibility at the school level and the college level, they will get sensitized about the importance of the corporate social responsibility. Somewhere down the line, they are going to be part of the corporate, and when they are going to either run a company or when they are going to be part of a company, they will know how important the corporate social responsibility, and they would be playing a very important role in the corporate social responsibility initiatives of the company. So this kind of sensitization should happen right from the school level. When this happens, then the CSR activities can definitely be strengthened. The next initiative that can be taken up is coming out with an accreditation mechanism. That there should be an independent agency which can review the corporate responsibility policy of the company, the annual action plan of the company, or they can look into the impact assessment of the different programs and activities that the company takes up. When all these are done and when gradings are given to the company based on their quality work, then again this is going to strengthen the CSR activities of the company. The last one is about the integration of technology and innovation in the CSR activities. This is definitely important. If we look at the corporate social responsibility initiative of TCS, and they were actually trying to improve the adult literacy. So what they were doing is they were going with the computer-based functional literacy software. They were using a computer-based functional literacy software in improving the adult literacy. Actually, this software was helping the people to get literate very fast. It took only 50 hours of time for an adult to become literate from illiterate because of the computer-based system of learning as such. So here they have brought in technology into the picture, as a result of which the CSR activity became very, very effective. Even when we look at the e-Chaupal initiative of ITC. They were coming out with, they have actually come out with the internet kiosks for the farmers, wherein farmers could get an information about the right price for their product. They could get to know about the weather conditions. They could decide on the type of crop that they can cultivate in a particular period, which goes with the market trend. So all these could be, and they were actually getting instant reliable information because of this internet kiosks. It is about technology and innovation, so because of which they got benefited very much. So wherever possible, the company should integrate the technology and innovation. Even for that matter, one of the initiative of the Tata Group was to improve the livelihood of the tribal women, and they were talking about, it is about integrating the mobile technology with the tribal women, and they called this program as Empowered. And as a result of which, they were the tribal women were given access to the mobile phones, and they were given a specific application which they could use to improve their cultivation, to come out with better business practices, as a result of which their income level went up, their savings level went up, their standard of living went up. So here it is about being innovative, and wherever possible, technology can be brought in, which will actually increase the effectiveness of the entire program. So these are all some of the ways that the companies can strengthen the CSR activity. Next, let's look at the trends that are there in the corporate social responsibility in India. If we look at the trends, this is whatever we are going to discuss. It is this particular research work was done by Business Line, and it is an article in Business Line, and they have done the analysis from the period of 2017-18 till 2021-22, and based on their analysis, what we could find out was there were 6 business houses. They have spent more than 500 crores. If you look at it from the table, in 2019-20, 6 companies have spent more than 500 crores on the CSR activity. And if you look at it, the companies are the Reliance Industries Limited, Tata Consultancy Services, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, Tata Sons, HDFC Bank, and the Indian Oil Corporation. These 6 companies have contributed more than 500 crores in the year 1920. And one more observation from this particular research study was that 1/5 of the total CSR spending of India has come from 10 major companies. That is why we always say we need the participation of the small enterprises also, right? That is equally important. From this, we could find out that 10 companies have actually contributed to 1/5 of the CSR spending during this period of 2017-18 to 21-22. So this is one more observation. Another observation is that the spending of the non-public sector undertaking has gone up from 78.65% in 2017-18 to 83.37% in 2021-22. So in fact, they are actually spending more and more on the corporate social responsibility during the study. But if we look at the spending of the public sector undertaking, in fact, it has decreased from 21.35% in 2017-18 to 16.63% in 2021-22. And one more good thing to note is that the CSR spending more than the prescribed limit has gone up. The government says this is the limit that they have to spend on, but there are companies who have spent more than what has been prescribed by the law. So that's a good thing to note. And if we look at it, it has increased from 22.97% in 2017-18 to 56.08% in 2021-22. These are all some of the trends which are worth to note with respect to CSR spending in India. Thanks for listening.